Okay, coming up on today's show, I'm going to tell you who I think would make the best president of the United States. I'm sure you've heard of Robert McNamara's book, The Fog of War, about America's horrible prosecution of the Vietnam War. But that title has come to mind as I watch, starting with the Iowa caucus, the sheer excitement of the interns just going crazy. One girl came up to the camera and saying, "This is the most exciting thing I have ever done in my life." Everyone is so excited about their candidate. It doesn't matter really what they stand for. A single issue that drew them into the candidate in the first place, and now they're ready to just blindly support that candidate no matter what their position means to the future of America. So I say that this fog of war will end. It's really bad in the Republican Party because you have so many candidates. And now as it's getting down to 3 or 4 candidates that have really a shot at it, it's getting pretty ugly. And the question is, no matter who wins, will they come out of the nomination process unscathed and having any type of image at all that can be considered electable as the President of the United States. Probably, if you've heard anything I've said either on my radio show or some of my writings, it won't be in the Democratic Party. But the real shocker right now, in my lifetime, the very idea that the media and so many citizens would openly embrace a declared democratic socialist. You know, the story of socialism is okay until you run out of other people's money. Well, we are running out of it. We have already. If we're 19 trillion in debt, it's pretty clear that we've run out of that money a long time ago. But what do you do when you're sitting back and you're worried about a single issue? Abortion's a big one. I had a friend who was absolutely saved by the Bush administration when they repealed the state tax. She inherited like $3 million from her mother, and she was going to have to give half of it to the federal government, but she was saved by the Republican administration. But she still voted Democratic because she is a Democrat, not Democratic. She voted that way because she's obsessed with this issue of abortion and a woman's right to choose. Nobody is for abortion. It's a horrible thing. But the woman's situation has to be taken into consideration. And I have felt all along that it really has to be left up to the woman. Donald Trump has talked about being for abortion. When he was younger, he was for a woman's right to choose. My understanding is that he still is for a woman's right to choose, but he's against abortion. And no one has asked him yet, does that mean that you're going to try to overturn Roe versus Wade? And this is certainly a Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio position, that they really believe that part of the president's job as a Republican and a quote-unquote conservative is to ultimately reverse that Roe versus Wade Supreme Court decision and again make abortion illegal. Those issues fire everybody up, but they don't have anything to do with the pending collapse of America or the pending success in America. America is the world's largest corporation. People go, "Oh, that's a horrible thing to say." But that's what it is. America is a corporation. We are the stockholders. The product of America is freedom. And this corporation, in order to keep producing that product at an affordable price, requires someone sitting in the Oval Office who has actually done that. Now, of all of the candidates from either party, there's only one candidate that has ever tackled the complexities of an enterprise that rival the Oval Office. I actually believe, from some experience, that building a high-rise in the center of a blighted area of Chicago, a completely left-wing liberal community where taxes have chased out many of the companies that would operate there, to go into an area like that, sell the socialist leaders on the benefits of this program of building a high-rise and getting it done Once you have the permit, then you have to deal with all of the layers of regulations, both state and federal, of Illinois and the federal government. But he did it, and he's done it several times. So you have to forget all of these little issues about, oh, gee, he's crass, or his language is a little bit blue for us, and focus on the history of the world, starting with the invention of democracy by the Greeks in 600 BC. And it really seemed to be a great way to run a country. Everyone has a say. But it didn't take long for politicians to figure out that they can get elected and be the ones dishing out the goodies if they started promising more goodies. And it didn't take long, about 150 years, I think, before Greece collapsed. The Roman Empire, adopting the same policies, just couldn't stop promising enough, and ultimately it collapsed. Now, America had a really great shot of this in the 1700s, and they created a nation where essentially people were on their own. The only reason we ever set up a federal government was just in case we had another attack from another country like Britain, and we could all share in the cost of it. But again, like anything else, politicians just can't leave well enough alone. And before long, they say, well, we could also do this, and we could also do that, and we're going to have this. You know, all of that still worked pretty well until the 16th Amendment in 1913, income tax. That and the development of the Federal Reserve as the nation's bank of last resort have really put America on a collision course with destiny. And that destiny is the collapse through socialism. Very simple for politicians to spend money on what seems to be a good idea when it's not their own money. And right now, with $19 trillion in debt, the only thing we should be looking at in a presidential candidate is, can they stop the accumulation of debt, the diminishing of our dollar, and literally save America from falling by the wayside, as every single country in the world has gone through. The only candidate, unfortunately, I hate to say this for some of you who are big Hillary supporters, or even another Republican candidate, no other candidate from either party has ever built anything. And as I say, I'm convinced that the complexities of running a development company and building high-rises with all the intricacies of regulation is way more complex than sitting in the Oval Office. The focus has to be on running this country as a business. So I believe that this fog of war I talk about, it'll come again with the actual presidential election in November. But when it's over, just as what happened with Barack Obama in 2008, I'll never forget that speech after the night of the election, speaking to him. I think it was outside in Chicago. The tears, they just couldn't believe in their lifetime that a African American had become president of the United States. What happened, of course, is the day after the election, and I should say probably the day after the inauguration in 2009, nothing happened. So the fog of war, the excitement of getting your candidate elected, will be over, and it'll be another 4 years of the same battle back and forth, almost no matter who wins. And I really believe that with all the candidates, no one's built anything in their life. I really believe it is in Donald Trump's DNA that he absolutely cannot go to bed at night with the waste and incompetence that is of the federal government. People I've talked to within the Trump organization say that he knows that people are attracted to nice things. No matter how wealthy you are or how poor you are, you want something nice. You want to be around nice things. And you take a look at almost everywhere you go in the federal government, there's mediocrity. And I really believe that America is going to learn a lot. And I say the excitement that diminishes with every single presidential election, and for the next 4 years we're back to usual. I think if you want to have an exciting next 4 years, you're going to want to see the heads that roll, the developments that get actually developed, the competence that comes back to the federal government when you have someone in the Oval Office who is allergic to incompetence, who is not political. He will sit down with Democrats and say, okay, let's make a deal. in deal making, you have to first find out what is it that motivates the other guy. And nobody answers the question. Obama he didn't even want to have a relationship with his own fellow Democrats. So I really believe that you're going to see something that has never been seen before. A successful, high-rise, major hotel developer. We've never had a president, even a candidate, that has that type of success. Somebody who knows how to build something. The difference today with a guy like Donald Trump, he may be not the true conservative they talk about. But what is a true conservative? Today's true conservative seems to be a guy that's led and influenced more by evangelicals than by the rest of the citizens of the United States. So I'm hoping you'll really consider that if you want to really enjoy for the first time in your life the politics in the next 4 years, let's get a businessman sitting in that Oval Office. It's going to be an exciting year, and we'll talk about it more as the campaign unfolds.